Hi guys, so today we're going to be working on a pencil cup, so let me just share with you what I've already done. I've already sanded down my 30-ounce tumbler. I have not painted it yet, but I have put tape on it so that I can mark off the places that I am going to paint. So with my pencil, this part is going to be black, and I have used electrical tape to mark off the bottom. I've also used 631 to mark off the part where it's going to be looking like the pencil lead. This part right here is going to be yellow. I've used the black tape again right here to mark off the portion in between my yellow and my eraser, and this is going to be like a silver or white. So I'm going to take this outside, I'm going to spray paint these parts real quick, and I'm going to come right back in. Okay guys, so as you can see, I went outside and I spray painted with the black, the yellow, and the pink, and I've still got this taped off and this section taped off. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going back outside. I'm going to take the Loctite that I have in the gray. I'm going to spray the whole thing with the Loctite. And when I come back in, we're going to put some glitter on this. Now I'm going to show you the colors that we're going to be using for our pencil. Okay, we're going to be using Recollections Champagne. We're going to use Eraser by Chimp for the eraser. We're going to use a mixture of Glitter Chips Armor and Recollections Extra Fine Ebony for the black. And we're going to use Recollections, let's see if I can read this, Sunflower. Recollections Sunflower for the yellow on the cup. And we're going to do that when I come back in. So I will see you in a few minutes. Okay guys, so I'm going to start with the black. And what I did was I mixed some of the Armor from Glitter Chimp and the Recollections, because I'm not sure whether it will come out, how the black was going to come out under the epoxy. So I just mixed a little bit of both of those in a cup. I am going to start down here, and with the Loctite on there, I sprayed the whole cup right over the tape. And I am going to make sure that I put enough, put it on the bottom, and I'm just gonna put that right in there. See if I can get a lot of it on the bottom. I need a little bit more here on this bottom. And that is getting it all covered. Okay, trying not to get any on the yellow or the pink. Okay, that got it pretty good and covered. All right, so we're going to move this aside. Set my cup up right here. I'm going to, for right now, put this black back in here so I can save this mixture, because I'm going to have to put this mixture in something since I've already mixed it together. Save that and set it aside. I'm going to take my next color, which is going to be the Recollections, what is this? Recollections Sunflower. Okay. And since I have not opened that yet, now I gotta try to get that open a little bit so I can get some of the glitter out. All right, let's see if we can do this now. All right, here we go. So now we want to just cover this, and see that paint is, by spray painting it earlier, it's going to make it really, really easy. I want to keep the yellow out of the black as much as possible, out of the pink. I've got to move some of this stuff over that I'm working with right here in my little space, in a very limited space. I want to make sure I'm getting all of these spots. And shake it off so I can see what I need to get, what I haven't hit yet. Trying to be really, really careful just to keep it in the yellow. I'm not really worried about anything that I don't hit, because anything that I don't hit, I will go back and touch it up with a little bit of Mod Podge. But having everything painted yellow makes it so much easier to cover all of the color under there. So you can make sure that everything is good and covered. That looks pretty good to me. Looks like I got everything. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. I am going to set this yellow aside for a minute. Ooh, got a little bit of black in there. Oh no. Got to see if I can clean that out before it gets in everything. So now we're going to go with our next color, which is the eraser. And that is, we're using Eraser by Glitter Chimp. And for this one, we're going to hold the cup down this way, whereas before with the black, we held the cup up. Woo! We held the cup up this way. Ooh, it's coming off the ball. Oh no, I might have to put a little bit more black on there for that, because it is not trying to stay. So we're going to hold it down this way, and we're going to put our eraser pink right around the bottom. Try to keep it from going in the yellow. Want to make sure we hit everything, all the little parts. I'm just kind of tapping it to make sure that, ooh, I should have took the top off, but it's okay. It's coming out pretty good. We're going to see. Now the reason I did it this way is because I normally, when I put my glitter on, I like to do the epoxy method. I like to put it on with epoxy. But if I tried to do that, it would take so long with all these colors for it to dry. And I'm not a big Mod Podge fan, guys. I will tell you that. I am not a big Mod Podge fan. Only because it takes, normally with Mod Podge, it takes 2 coats. And when I do this with epoxy, if I use the epoxy, then it normally only takes 1 coat. So what helps with this is the fact that I painted each section the color it needs to be. So, alrighty, that looks pretty good, wouldn't you say? All right, so we got our black, our yellow, and our pink for our eraser. All right, let me set that to the side. And by the way, if you want to know how this is standing up, I just made it with some PVC pipe joints. And I glued them with Gorilla Glue so that I can make sure, I only have 2 hands, so I can make sure that my work stands up. So the next thing I want to do, guys, is I want to grab my, well, actually, I guess I don't have to grab it. Actually, I guess I could just work from right here. I want to pull this tape off. See, that's why I have the little edge there. Makes it easy to pull off. The only thing is, I'm trying to do it without touching anything, without messing up the other paint. But as you can see, I got a nice straight line. Oops. Whoa. Okay. Did get a little messed up right there, but I can fix that. That is not a problem. I can fix that little spot right there with the Mod Podge. So now we're going to pull the tape from up here. You know what? I may have to put my hand up in this because it does not want to stay on that. I'm trying to keep it from, there we go. So I'm going to just put my hand up in there. And see, this is my zigzag. And I'm pulling my tape off very carefully and very slowly because I want those nice clean lines. And please forgive my dog. She just likes to bark when she can't be down here with me. So, all right, guys. So, all right, we got the black done, we got the yellow done, and we've got the pink. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go get my Mod Podge ready. We're going to come back and we're going to fill these sections in. Then I'm going to take it outside and spray it. Okay? Thanks. Okay, guys, I'm back and I have taken the tape off here and here. We have our black done, we have our yellow done, and we have our eraser pink done. So what I did was I went and got my Mod Podge. Now I keep a little bit in a cup that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I keep the lid on it. That way when I get ready to use it, it is already in a little cup, and as long as it's not contaminated, I go ahead and just use it out of this cup. Now we have to be very, very careful, because what we want to do is we want to get in all these little crevices right up at the point. Now what I will do, guys, is I will fast forward through this, because once you see me do it, you know what it is, and it would be awful boring for you to sit here and just watch me try to tediously get this in without going over the yellow, which I have to make very sure I don't do, and I get it up on all the little points, and that I don't leave streaks, because you don't want streaks in your Mod Podge. So I want to make sure I get it all up there very straight, because I did those nice straight edges and we want to keep them nice and straight. So what I do is I normally put a bunch on my brush, but then I dab it off so that I don't have a whole lot to have to clean up in here. And I hope I'm keeping this in the camera so you can see it. And you have to kind of work with Mod Podge a little quickly, because it really will dry on you. And in this case, it's basically where we have to go back and do 2 coats, because you want to cover every little bit, but you don't want it to get on your black. You want to keep that nice crisp line, which is sometimes very hard for me to do. And I can't I can't talk and draw a straight line at the same time, so we're gonna have to see how this goes, guys. All right, let's turn it around. Let's get more right there, because we want to make sure that we match it up. We want to make sure that we get it all good and straight, get all those little points all the way up in those little points. We don't want to have any big like that. Sure we got all the important parts where we need to have some glue at. See how it's already started drying right there? So if I didn't go back over this, I would really have some dry spots on here, because it is already drying very, very quickly. Okay. All right, so let's set our Mod Podge aside for a second. And we're going to get our paper so that we can catch all of our glitter. And let's just start glittering. And don't worry about the parts up there that should come right off, because it's shouldn't be wet any longer. Ooh, okay. Let's knock that off, and probably when we blow it off. Okay, there's a little part right there we need to get. we're going to need a little bit of glue around that edge. Just blow it. Now the reason I was blowing it is because, see, when it dries, all of that will come off. So I want to take a little bit more and see, like little spaces like right here. We want to make sure we get those little spots right there. And it's probably going to take a second coat. To make sure that we've got everything and that it's on there really, really good. I'm probably going to need another brush. I should have just put some in my lid. I'm going to put some of this in my lid, guys, because I don't want to contaminate the whole thing. Ugh. Let's see if I can get it on here now. All this is wet. Okay, let's knock that off. Okay, and see how this is way much darker than this? That's because I put that second coat on there. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take some of this out, put it down here in my lid. I'm sorry you can't see me over there. But what I'm doing is I had a clean brush. I had a clean brush over there on that side. So I'm going to take some more of this Mod Podge, and I'm going to go back over it, trying to be as careful as possible. And you don't want to really paint, because you'll move that you just put, so you want to dab in the spots. You want to dab it there. Because you want good coverage, guys. Really good coverage. You just want to dab it. And I will speed this up so you don't have to, sit through this whole thing. Okay, I think we got that pretty well covered. Let's hope we do anyway. All right, let's put our second coat up there and see how that does. I'm also going to do one with the epoxy method and see the difference. You know, it will take longer to get it done, that's for sure. Okay. And once this dries, I will go back in. Once this dries, I will go back in and, yuck. I will go back in and dust it off with my brush. Okay. All right, where is my... Sorry about that, guys. I had to go get this so I could stand it up and put all my glitter back in here. Whoops. Not quite out far enough. I love glitter, but I tell you what, I'm gonna have to get one of those little glitter vacuums to like vacuum stuff up. All right, so I'm not gonna use this brush again because it's gonna be contaminated. So let me get a clean brush. I have a clean brush. It is a smaller brush. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put Mod Podge right here on this, and we're gonna do the silver. Okay, so let's see if we can get this on here quickly enough. Trying to keep it right at that edge. Trying to work quickly. And I think this is why I actually like, even though it takes longer, I actually like to do the epoxy method, which I'm going to do another one of these cups. I'm going to do it with the epoxy method, just so you can have two ways to do yours, see which one you like the best, and then follow through with that one. Missing any of those little parts. It's actually the yellow kind of stops you. But you don't want to have big, want to smooth it out as best you can. I'll put that back in there because I don't need all of that on there. Try to get some of these little parts off. But you know, you got to keep it, you got to work fast, and you got to keep it because it dries so quickly. Like in spots, it's already getting kind of dry. So I guess I better start working my way around with that epoxy. I mean, not with the epoxy, excuse me, with the silver. Okay, so here we go with the silver. Let's see how this works. Come on. I'm just using Recollections silver. You know, I have other glitters, but I'm trying to use everything that I have up. And honestly, under the epoxy, it's all beautiful. It really is. It's all just pretty. Now I was trying to see if that needed a second coat. I don't think it does because it was silver under there. Let's just make sure we got it all good and covered. I'm not really happy with the way the gold looks up there. I have to kind of pat that down. I am. See, that's my problem. I can't keep my fingers off the stuff. I like to touch stuff, and I really shouldn't. Because as you can see, now I got to put a little bit more gold up there. But the silver I think looks pretty good. Silver I think is good. Just get that little, whatever that is right there. And I'm going to let this dry for us. I'm going to let this dry for about 30, 40 minutes. And then I'm going to spray it with Rust-Oleum clear coat. Then after I spray it with Rust-Oleum clear coat, I'm going to come back and we are going to put some epoxy on this baby. See how it looks. Okay. I'll be back. Okay guys, so I'm back and I'm getting ready to epoxy my cup. While I'm getting ready, I have my epoxy in here. I'm going to put it in my epoxy mixer. I'm going to turn that on. As you can see, it's just taking the little stir stick slowly around. This will help me from getting any air bubbles in. I'm going to put my timer, let's clear that out. I'm going to put my timer on about 3, maybe 4 minutes, and we'll let that get ready. While that's happening, I'm going to be a little muffled because I'm going to suit up in my armor. Okay, I am going to put my gas mask on, so I'm going to sound like Darth Vader for a while. And I probably won't talk for a while. So here we go. And you have to forgive me, guys. When I talk to this, sometimes I don't know that I'm breathing so hard, and this microphone actually picks it up. All right, so the Darth Vader in me is coming out. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. It's about the best I can do. Now I'm going to put my apron on to protect my clothing. So guys, as you can see, my tumbler is completely dry. Now I took it outside. I sprayed it with Rust-Oleum clear coat, so everything is completely dry. I want to put this back in here a little bit better than what it is in here. So let's see if I can get that all the way down in that cup the best I can. And put this down in there. There we go. Looks like it's nice and level. And I am going to put it in my turner. Now, I'll just show you this. This is my turner. It is, I made it myself. I have a 4-cup turner that we are sitting in front of right here. But I find that when I'm videoing, and a lot of times I like to work just on a single turner. Sometimes it makes a little creaking noise and sometimes it doesn't. So we will just see how this does. Now the next thing I've got to do, guys, is I have to put on my gloves. Okay. See if I can pull that out a little bit. Oops, I need a new pair. Alright. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to take my baby wipe out that I'm going to need. Now, as some of you have noticed in my previous videos, I only use one gloved hand with the nitrile glove on, because that's the hand that I normally use to do my epoxying. I use a regular glove on the other hand, because I don't really touch epoxy too much with this one. So I just kind of use it just to kind of protect my hand. So, let me put a little bit more light. That's my timer going off for 4 minutes. Let me put a little bit more light in the area so we can see what we're doing. Okay guys, so it looks like my epoxy is ready. It's very clear. There are hardly any bubbles in it. I'm going to take out my little stick here and clean it off. Get all of that epoxy that I should be using cleaned off. Okay, and then I'm going to take my baby wipe and just wipe off the rest of the epoxy that's on there. Now, don't worry if you don't get it all off, or if you don't forget to do this step. I try to wipe mine off every time I use it because it just makes it easier. But if you forget to do that step, let's turn that off. You could just clean it off the next day once it dries. Okay, guys? So now we are ready to start epoxying. And I'm just going to pour it on there and smooth with my hand. I am not going to chase it because it will come back around. Now also, as I stated before, I did take this out and spray painted it with Rust-Oleum clear coat. What that does is it helps to hold, and then I let it dry. What that does is it helps to hold your glitter in place so that it does not like mix too bad. So the black won't go into the gold, and the gold won't go into the yellow, and the yellow won't go into the silver. And I did have a little bit of that on there. So it did get mixed up when I was blowing. I shouldn't have blew, but I did. So it is what it is. And I want to coat this very, very well, even though it's my first coat of epoxy. I want to coat it like really, really well, so that there are like no rough spots, no for this first coat. And then I'll come back and I'll see if I have to sand it. Then I'll put a second coat on. Did not mean to go over there with that, but I did. So, still feeling a little rough down here. This is going to take 2 coats, only because down here my gold was so thick. It's going to take 2 coats on that. Don't forget your bottom. Want to make sure you get that covered. Now the black is okay. Now that needs a little bit right there. But what I try to do up here is I do a sweeping motion kind of up. Trying to make sure that I don't go inside the lip of the cup, that I just take it up to the lip of the cup. Normally using this cup, I normally leave the top black, that little bitty rim right there, but I wanted it all pink this time, so Make sure it all feels smooth. This down here needs, it's going to need a second coat. That's just all it is to it. And I'm just trying to make sure that all of it, there's going to be a little knot right there. All of it has been covered. Okay. I'm going to wipe off my glove right here. The next thing I am going to do is I am going to take my torch. It's nothing but a kitchen torch. And I'm going to pump any bubbles, any micro bubbles that might still be on this cup. Now you want to move fast, because if you linger too long in one spot, you will burn your epoxy. And you'll know you burnt it because it'll be a bunch of tiny, tiny, tiny little bubbles that come up. Okay, now I am going to set my timer for 8 hours, and then I'll come back and check on it after 8 hours. And start. So, all right guys, we got our first coat on, so we will come back and check this out, and I'll be right back in 8 hours. Hi guys, so this is the cup we've been working on, the pencil cup. So let me just tell you, bring you up to date on what I did with the cup. The cup was had already been sanded. We had already put the epoxy on it. I let the epoxy dry. When I took that off, I sanded it once again. The rough spots, as you can see, were down here. There weren't too many up here. I took washi tape and I used silver washi tape for the band. I also put my decals on to make it look more like a number 2 pencil with her name. And then I put her quote that she wanted on the back. Now, as you can see, I have the top on this, and we don't normally keep the top on it when we do that, but the reason I put the top on there is because it shows me exactly where the front of the cup is and where the back of the cup is. And what we want is, we always want someone to see on what we've put on our cup, our decals, unless you put it all the way around the cup, then it doesn't really matter. But when you've only got it in 2 spaces, you want somebody to see where your decal is. So that's why I always put the top on. And in this one especially, gives you a little lip right here. So we're going to take this off now. And I'm going to put my pole back in. Get it good and ready, and we're going to put hopefully our last coat of epoxy on here. When we finish with the last coat of epoxy and it has dried, I will come back and I'll let you see the finished product. Okay, so let's get started with our epoxy, and I'm going to go into Darth Vader mode. All right guys, my epoxy's been mixing over my epoxy mixer. I'm going to, rake off. I'm going to rake off my epoxy that's on my little stir metal piece. I'm telling you guys, if you don't have an epoxy mixer, you really need to get one. It saves you time. While my epoxy is mixing, I can do other things to get ready for this. Okay? Now, you can purchase these on Amazon, or you can purchase one from Little Lee and Rose, and I will put the link in my description. I have no affiliation with either one of these groups, other than the fact that I buy from them. Oh, it's turning the wrong way. I gotta have it turning the other way for me. There we go. And this time, see, look, virtually no bubbles. No bubbles almost at all. So, I really want to flood this and get a good coverage on here. I can take my time with this, because hopefully this will be the last that I have to put on here. And guys, I don't know whether I said this in when I was putting this on, but you can tell the reason I use my hands with my gloved hand, that is because you can feel when it hits a spot where there is no epoxy. Your hand kind of drags because it's dry. It's like when you're oiling, you're putting lotion on your skin and you get to that spot that's really, really dry. It's a little rougher to move over that spot because there's no lotion there already and your skin is dry. So this is the same way. If it moves smoothly, like I'm doing right here, that means you've got some coverage there. Okay? And one thing, guys, you don't ever want to do, if you're putting a clear decal on your tumbler and you have sanded it, you have to clean that up first. You have to either spray it with some clear coat and then let that dry and then put your decal on it, or, well, that's if it's clear, or you have to put a light coat of epoxy back on there, then put your decal on there. Now, I didn't have to do that this time because I did not sand anything up here. I only sanded down here. There was nothing going down here except more epoxy. And if I had sanded up here, it might not would have mattered because, well, it wouldn't have mattered because my decals are black and not see-through. If your decal is see-through and you put it on top of a sanded place, you will always have that sand there. It will not shine back up. So just make sure that if you sand, your decal is not clear. Let's do the bottom. Let's make sure we don't forget that. Make sure that this is really covered really good. And I'm going to get down and look at it and make sure I don't have any fish eyes or spots that I have missed or anything like that. I want to make sure I've hit everything. This is the first time, oh, I'm dripping. This is the first time I've used washi tape on a cup, guys. But I think I'm going to use it more often because it did save me a little bit of time. Instead of cutting strips for this, I just used the washi tape that I needed in the color that I needed, and I have a bunch of washi tape, believe you me. It's a good way to use it up. Alrighty, that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to clean off my hands. I'm going to clean up the top of my cup just in case. Just let it run around just in case I got some epoxy on that top. I always try to do this with every time I do a cup. That way it keeps me from having to do so much cleanup in the end. All right, now I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to lightly go over it to make sure I get, if there are any fine bubbles, that I get it. Now also, I'll come back down in about an hour. I'll come back, I'll babysit this cup. I'll come back in about an hour to check just to be sure that there are no little fine air bubbles coming up to the top because of the heat that I put on it. And I'll go over it one more time if I need to and pop those. Just be careful, don't stay in one spot too long because you don't want to burn your epoxy. That's going to put bubbles on that you can't get out. Okay, this would make a great teacher gift for a teacher. I have a couple more ideas for teacher gifts that I am going to make and hopefully video them. All right, guys. Once this dries, I will come back and show you the finished product. Have a great day.